A few weeks ago, we did a custom kite engagement ring, and I showed it to my friend. And although she has the engagement ring, she looked at it and she's like, wow, that is absolutely unique piece. I didn't know it's even possible. And that's keeping in mind that she has the engagement ring. So she did her research, went through the Instagram, Pinterest, and few websites. And I thought, wait a second. And that made me think how many people actually missing out on those unique cuts of the diamonds and the gemstones. And no wonder they do that, because there is so many advertising on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else that showcasing the most common 6 or 10 cuts out there. And if you go to the big retailers website, that's what you have, 6 to 10 cuts. But in fact, there's so many out there. And this video is all about it. We're not going to talk about the most common cuts. We're going to talk about unique cuts. And that's why I decided to make this video, to show you 20 unique cuts of the diamonds and the gemstones besides those 6-10 most common ones. So you're not going to see them here. You're going to see the unique cuts, the one that you haven't seen before. And I do believe it's important to know this before you spending $5,000 to $10,000 on the ring. You want to be aware of those options. Two more things before we get started. First of all, why the shapes and the cuts of the diamonds is important. It's going to determine how your engagement ring is going to look like. The shape of the stone affecting the look of their engagement ring dramatically, and the cut of the stone affecting the way it sparks, the way it delivers the brilliance. And the second thing is very technical, is you have to know the difference between the shape of the diamond and the cut of the diamond. Shape of the diamond is overall outline of the stone itself. Round, oval, emerald, all of those things out there. Facet refer how the stone is cut, whether it's a brilliant cut or it's a step cut. And I have the separate video about the cuts, check it out there. And also important to know that some of the shapes can have the multiple cuts. For example, the round cut can have the brilliant cut, which going to bring lots of sparks into the stone. It's going to be like a firework basically. And it also can have the old rose cut, which is going to give it like a very antique glowy effect. And there's a few other cuts that I'm going to talk later in this video for the round stone. But some of the shapes would almost exclusively associate with a certain cut. Let's say the princess. Almost always it's going to be cut as a princess cut, because that makes total sense. That's why people buy it in the first place. If you're going to apply emerald cut to the princess shaped stone, it's just not going to work. Now, when I clarify those things, let's jump into the cuts themselves, into the 20 unique cuts. And I separated them into the category in order for us not to be confused. First category is the geometrical cuts. And the first cut in this category is the hexagon. And the hexagon is actually a very interesting shape. It's the most natural shape of the diamond. The shape is actually everywhere, in the honeycombs, in the crystals. Those diamonds known for their strength and perfect symmetry. Also extremely interesting thing that the hexagon as the diamond itself, as the shape of the diamond, exists in reality. And they called lonsdaleite. They are found in meteorites, not on the Earth's surface. Scientists believe those meteorite diamonds even stronger than the Earth's diamond. So if you do choose the hexagon cut, you literally choosing space exploration inspired shape, and the shape that is also everywhere, although we're not noticing them, everywhere in the nature. So it's a bold, futuristic look, and at the same time completely natural. In my mind, it's absolutely perfect choice. The next one is Lasen cut, or royal optical illusion, if you will. The Lasen cut is one of those rare shapes that plays trick with your eyes. The Lasen cut is very interesting. It does look bigger than it actually is from the distance, and because of that reason, European royalties back in the 19th and 18th century really loved it. It was actually very popular. The reason they like it though is quite interesting, not because they were trying to save money, but because they didn't want to carry extra weight with the extra look. And when you have 5-carat ring on your finger, which was normal for the royalties back then, you wanted to weight 3-carat. Not a big deal if you have just one of them, but if you have whole hands of the rings, totally makes sense. Good problem to have. If you're looking for the vintage glamour with the modern look, that's gonna be one of the perfect choices. Next one is the shield cut or the warrior cut. Many people think it's a modern cut, but in reality, this cut goes back into the centuries. It always was a symbol of protections for the warriors and the kings out there, but not protecting them in the literal sense, protecting them from the bad energy, from curses, from those kind of things. And to these days, be believed to be protecting the wearer from all of those negative energies that actually surround us on a daily basis. There is lots of shield gemstones embedded into the royals or higher society swords or into the ceremonial jewelry. You will see a lot of it in the history books if you would go and search out there. Today, shield cut still wears this energy, and in my sense, if I see the person, I know that they need the shield cut. It's just so charismatic that sometimes it's just perfectly matched with the person that you want to buy it for. Next one is the Octagon cut, or as other people refer, the $1 million cut. The reason is actually very simple, because extremely expensive diamonds out there cut it most of the time in the Octagon cut. For example, the Blue Moon diamond, the 12-carat diamond that was sold in 2015 for about $40 million. This one was cut in the Octagon cut. Why Octagon cut? Because this cut with the 8 symmetrical sides create the mirror reflecting effect, which gives it half of the reflective look. Second category is elongated cuts. Those are perfect for someone who likes absolutely unique stones, elegancy, and at the same time a little bit of drama. Those stones look absolutely great and make the fingers look a little bit longer, but they have a trick in them that some of the jewelers don't like, and I will explain it on our example. But first of all, let's just go through all of the cuts. First one is the bullet cut, or futuristic baguette, if you will. Imagine the diamond that looks like it was designed in a futuristic era. That's the bullet cut, a sleek pointed design that was created in 1920s in Art Deco era. This shape is sharp, it has the aerodynamic look, it's inspired by the skyscrapers, the fast cars, the bullet trains, like all of those things that was booming in 1920s. It was literally the cut designed for the future. To this day, this cut looks bold, unconventional. It has the statement. It does look like it came from the jewelry magazine or from the fashion show. It does look incredibly well. Next one is the tapered baguette cut or palace column. And here's why. If you've seen those palaces in Europe and you've seen the big columns that support the balconies and terraces, those columns are exactly what inspired a tapered baguette cut. This cut refines the traditional baguette cut, and it was extremely popular in 20th century in the Art Deco era. And very quickly, everybody realized that it's a perfect shape for the side stone, although lots of the jewelers use it as the center stone itself. And the tricky part is, and we are working on a baguette cut engagement ring right now, the length of it has to be perfectly aligned with the ring size. Otherwise, you're going to have the strange look overall from the top. So it has to be perfectly sized according to your ring finger. And that's why big jewelry companies doesn't like it, because they like pre-made settings and have those stones available for them out there. And in case of the baguette cut, if you're going to use it on your engagement ring, you have to mate it specifically to the person who is going to wear. If it's a size 4, as in our case 4.5, as I believe, you have to have the stone which is 12.5 millimeter long. If you have bigger, you will have to have a bigger stone. It's not like a round 1-carat stone that you can put on any setting on any size out there. You have to be very careful over here. Next one is the half moon cut or celestial cut. It got its popularity when the celestial jewelry was booming, and later on it was used in sentimental jewelry or the engagement rings, as we would say right now. And later it gained its popularity within sentimental jewelry, love jewelry, or the engagement rings. And it's actually very interesting why. Ancient cultures believed that the half moon represent growth, transformation, and the new beginning. So it's not about the spark itself, it's embracing the life-changing phases. So basically, when you're giving the engagement ring with the half moon cut, you're saying no matter in what phase we are, our love is always going to shine. And I think it's a beautiful message within the engagement ring itself. The next one is Crescent cut. This one is similar to the previous one, to the half moon cut, but has much softer edges. Crescent shape is all about the softness, the artistic energy, about feminine energy connection to the moon itself. So if you are into those kind of things, this might be a perfect shape for you. The next one is the Flanders cut, and I'm still surprised why it's not more popular than it is right now, because it's a very interesting mix of the princess and the cushion cut. It's basically a hybrid of princess and the cushion cut. It was designed to maximize the sparks while keeping the structure and geometrical feel of it. So why you might want this cut? Let's say you're in love with the fire and brilliance of the traditional princess cut, but you want something a little bit more unique, something with the twist. Well, in this case, Flanders cut is going to be absolutely perfect for you. It sparks even more than the brilliance cut, and it has a lot of going on inside. And the bigger the stone, then more of those things you have. So check it out, it's very interesting. We just covered 10 unique cuts, and I'm pretty sure you haven't heard about some of them. The next 10 even more unique than those, and some of them date back to 500 years. So don't miss those, stay with me until the end. The next category is antique and vintage cut. And some of those exist for 500 years, some of them for 200 years. So they've been around for a very, very long time and still popular to those days. First one that I want to cover is the rose cut. It was created in 1500s and was extremely popular in Georgian in Victoria era, and it has very interesting subtle look. If the brilliant cut, the modern cut, is just sparks and does this fireworks of light, the rose cut has the very subtle look, and there is two reasons for that. First one is the purpose. Today we live in under an artificial light, and we want our diamonds to spark under those lights. Back then people were dancing predominantly under the candle lights, so they want their diamonds to spark differently. Second thing is actually very technical. It could not be possible to make the brilliant cut back in 15th centuries. You have to have a very high-tech equipment. Back then it was done by hand. Next one is the French cut, and this one is very interesting because it was actually very popular among the French royalties and royalties in general. Back in 17th century, it has the very unique X-shaped cut, and it made huge comeback in 1920s in the Art Deco era. Today, I see that it making comeback to the engagement world right now, and with today's technologies, it does look even better. So definitely check it out. It's a very unique cut. Next one is Mughal cut. This one is all about the India, and I want to make a separate video about the gemstones and the jewelry of India because they have thousands of years in history. But this one was made back in Mughal Empire era, that is 16th to 17th century somewhere, and this cut focused not only on the brilliance itself, it focused on admiring craftsmanship overall. You'll see lots of those stones in the crown jewelry, into the royal jewelry in general. You'll see it in the British jewelry, royal jewelry as well. Mughal cut was always associating with royal jewelry, with the sophisticated jewelry, and the Princess Diana really loved it, Jacqueline Kennedy really loved it and had a couple of pieces of that, so definitely check it out. Next one is the double rose cut. Exactly what it is. Basically, you're connecting two rose cuts all together. This cut featured triangle facets on both of the top and the bottom of the stone, creating a perfectly symmetrical gemstone that catches the light from every angle, literally. It was commonly used in the Renaissance jewelry and the Victorian jewelry, often combined with the foil backing. Quite interesting technology, check it out too. This one for someone who loves the antique jewelry, but at the same time for whom the rose cut doesn't do it. So they basically choosing between the rose cut or the brilliant cut. They're not sure which one to choose. Well, the double rose cut might be the best choice in this case. Next one is the Crisp cut, and this one is basically an optical illusion. It's a very complex cut. There is a lot of things going on there, and it does look twice bigger than it is. It has lots of depth, lots of sparks. So basically, if you like the emerald cut, but it's still not enough for you, you want more sparks, you want more feel, you want more brilliance, then the Crisp cut is for you. There's a lot more to talk about the vintage cuts, but let's move into the next category. And the next category is the fantasy and avant-garde cuts. Those cuts, all they do is they cushion the boundaries. They're not trying to be as the other ones. They are absolutely unique. They don't care to be trendy or anything like that. They are solely exist to be unique. And the first one that I want to cover is the portrait cut or transparent diamond. We're actually making one Brooklyn bridge right now with this kind of diamond. And basically, it's completely transparent. You can see the ring, the back of the ring, the gallery through that stone. And in our case, what we make a pretty complex gallery with its hidden message. And if you look closer to the ring, you will see that message, you will see that gallery. It's actually working incredibly well with the aquamarines and morganites and other transparent stones like that. Basically, it's not pursuing to give you a lot of spark. It wants to be clear and transparent. The next cut is completely the opposite, sunburst cut, and it does exactly what it says. It sparks like a sun. Instead of standard facet, in this cut features elongated triangular facets that burst outwards from the center, creating a star-like effect. It most commonly cut in a round or oval shapes, giving a dynamic, almost fairy looking look. Those diamonds full of sparks and the energy, and they definitely making a statement. The next one is infinity cut, the cut with no beginning, no end. It basically does what it says, it's shaped after the infinity sign. And for someone who is into the symbolic jewelry, that could be one of the best choices. Similar to the half moon cut that we talked about earlier, this one represents the no beginning and no end of your love. The cut itself is extremely complex, might be coming with a little bit of premium but not dramatic. The next one is the star cut, one of those celestial cuts out there that we discussed earlier too. Looks and shaped like a star. The star cut is advanced faceting technique that creates a 5 or 6 pointed star shape inside of the stone. This cut is extremely rare, takes some time to find it, but in some application it looks incredibly well, especially if you okay with the non-traditional materials for the dent itself. Let's say meteorite and the star shape. The next one is the polka cut, and this cut is for someone like me, for example, someone who loves the ancient stories and the history. This cut is untouched, quite often unpolished. It's very well known since the 12th century, and it was popular in India back then. It's still to these days, it's intertwined with the traditions. So if you want something very natural, raw looking, then the polka diamond will be for you. Also, if you want to have absolutely unique piece, because no one look like the other. They all slightly different. They doesn't look like one another. The colors there might be slightly different. The shapes could be slightly different. It is absolutely unique stone, absolutely unique cut, and I'm glad it's coming back to the modern days when people do want to have the custom pieces rather than generic ones. And the last one is the trillion cut. I put it last because it's my favorite cut. Why? No idea. I just like it. I just love how bold it is. I love the shape of it. I love that this is the conversation starter. It's just a great choice in my opinion. Also, you can combine them into the one stone, if you will. You can put them back to each other, and it's going to look like a Marquise diamond from the back, especially if done right. But if you get in closer, you can see that there is a 2 trillion stones next to each other, just like it. That's why I put it over here. If you do like the cuts that I put together in this video, let me know in the comments. If you have any other cuts in mind that I haven't covered, please put them into the comments below. I'll be happy to put them together in the part 2 of the similar video. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.